There is a law, quiet but unbreakable, written into the very foundation of the universe. What you impress upon your mind, you express through your life. Therefore, the man who acts as if nothing affects him is the man who eventually rises above all obstacles. Your thoughts, emotions, and actions form an unending current that shapes your destiny. If you act weak, the world will treat you as weak. If you act strong, even before you feel it fully, the world will mirror back your strength. Life does not wait for you to feel ready. It demands that you move forward, even trembling. The secret known to every man who has climbed beyond mediocrity is simple. He acted with composure when his heart screamed with fear. He smiled when storms gathered around him. To act as if nothing affects you is not arrogance. It is supreme self-mastery. It is the quiet declaration that you are master over your inner kingdom, and no external event, no passing storm, can dethrone you. It is the decision to place your focus upon your mission, not your mood. The man who masters this secret bends fate itself to his will, because circumstances lose their power over him. Where others see reasons to quit, he sees challenges to sharpen his soul. Where others beg for relief, he moves with a dignity that commands respect from the unseen forces of life. Understand this clearly. You are not defined by the blows that life delivers. You are defined by the posture you take after you are struck. Will you crumple into a heap of defeat, or will you rise with a silent fire that declares to the universe, I will not bow to anything lesser than my destiny? Acting as if nothing affects you is not pretending. It is choosing a higher reality. It is training your spirit to cling to truth rather than appearances. It is understanding that your inner world creates your outer world. And therefore, if your spirit remains unmoved, sooner or later, so will your circumstances. You must not wait for courage to come as a feeling. You must act first. In acting with calm assurance, you invite the feeling of courage to catch up to your action. You summon unseen forces that rush to the aid of the man who moves forward without explanation, without apology, and without retreat. You are not the product of your environment unless you surrender to it. You are not the puppet of chance unless you believe you are. You are the architect of your fate, and the blueprint is drawn by your daily decisions. When you act as if nothing affects you, you are choosing to build with bricks of strength rather than with the straw of emotion. No man ever won a crown by bowing to his fears. No woman ever seized greatness by surrendering to doubt. Each step you take in dignity, each moment you choose poise over panic, you are writing a new destiny. The old self dies a little more, and the new self, the self born for triumph, takes its rightful place. Act as if nothing affects you. Walk as if every step carries you closer to victory. Speak as if your words are seeds of greatness. Think as if success is inevitable, for when you act this way long enough, the mountains will bow, the storms will pass, and life itself will open doors where there once were walls. The universe respects the man who respects his own mind. Therefore, govern your emotions, master your reactions, and live in such a way that the world has no choice but to treat you as you have treated yourself, with unwavering power, quiet dignity, and certain success. Your actions create your reality long before your feelings do. Act strong even when fear whispers otherwise. The world you live in, the circumstances you walk through, the victories you taste or the defeats you endure are not merely shaped by the events that happen to you, but by the silent actions you take before anyone else sees. Life bends itself to the will of the man who acts as though he is already victorious. Life yields to the woman who steps forward in boldness when everything inside her trembles, and to fulfill. To wait for feelings to lead is to hand over the steering wheel of your life to forces you cannot control. Feelings are fickle, driven by the winds of the moment, while action, deliberate and powerful, carves reality out of the invisible realm of thought. There will be moments when fear speaks louder than your own ambition, when your heart pounds with uncertainty, when your mind tries to calculate every danger before you. It is in those moments that your decision matters most. Will you wait for the fear to leave before you move, or will you step forward because your spirit demands that you move? Fear is not a sign to retreat. It is a test of loyalty to your dreams. Every man and woman who has ever risen above mediocrity has faced fear, often daily, often brutally, but they acted anyway. They walked into boardrooms when they still doubted themselves. They stood on stages while their knees trembled. They started businesses when they did not know the end from the beginning. They faced rejection, ridicule, and uncertainty, but they refused to act small because they felt small. Instead, they acted strong, spoke boldly, moved deliberately, until their inner world caught up to the outer actions they dared to take. You must understand this law if you wish to break free from the endless waiting room where the fearful sit, hoping for the perfect moment. That perfect moment does not exist. It is created. It is summoned by the man who rises from his chair while others sit paralyzed. It is built by the woman who speaks her truth even when her voice shakes. In your life, the difference between standing among the few who conquer and the many who surrender will be determined not by how often you feel fear, but by how you respond when it appears. When you act strong in the face of fear, you do something profound. You rewire your mind. You teach your subconscious that you are not at the mercy of your emotions. You train your mind to believe that courage is your natural state, that strength is your inheritance. And as you continue to act in spite of fear, your feelings eventually submit. There will always be whispers, subtle voices within you that question your worth, that predict failure, that scream warnings of what might go wrong. These voices are ancient, primal, designed to keep you safe from imaginary threats. But greatness does not live in safety. Greatness demands risk. It demands that you stare down the howling winds of doubt and walk anyway, that you speak life over your dreams even when fear speaks death. Every step you take toward your destiny in the face of fear is a declaration that you believe more in your vision than in your emotions. It is a reminder to yourself that feelings are passengers on your journey, not the driver. They may shout from the back seat, but they must never hold the wheel. If you wait for confidence to come before you move, you will wait forever. But if you move first, confidence will catch you like the wind catches the wings of a bird. It will lift you higher with every step you take. There is magic, divine and ancient, that favors the one who acts in faith. Heaven itself rallies behind the soul who refuses to be paralyzed by what he feels and instead builds his life upon what he knows to be true. You are stronger than you feel. You are braver than you believe. You are more capable than you currently imagine. And none of this will be proven to you by sitting still. It will be proven only when you act, when you do what your fear says you cannot, when you stand when you feel like falling, when you build when doubt tells you to wait. Every small act of strength builds a cathedral of character inside of you, stone by stone. Act strong. Move forward. Refuse to bow to feelings of weakness. Refuse to surrender your future to momentary fear. Life will respond to your action. Circumstances will rearrange themselves around your courage. Opportunities will notice your movement and rush to meet you. Fear will fall silent in the presence of relentless action. And when you look back, you will not remember the fear that whispered. You will remember the strength that shouted. Amen. The man who acts as though he cannot be defeated will find that defeat avoids him. The woman who walks as though every step is a declaration of power will discover that the world yields to her boldness. Your reality is not waiting for you to feel ready. It is waiting for you to act as if you already are. Self-mastery means refusing to be governed by external events. True strength is calmness in the storm. The man who is truly powerful is not the one who controls others, but the one who first controls himself. While the world rages with uncertainty, while the winds of adversity howl and the tides of change threaten to overturn every carefully laid plan, the man of true strength stands unmoved, his soul anchored not to circumstance, but to conviction. It is easy to appear composed when life flows smoothly. It costs nothing to smile when fortune smiles with you. But real character, the kind that shapes destiny and commands respect from the invisible forces of success, is forged in the tempests. True strength is revealed not when the sun shines, but when the sky darkens and the earth trembles beneath your feet. Calmness in the midst of chaos is not the absence of feeling, but the mastery of feeling. It is the deliberate decision to rule your own spirit, even when every nerve cries out for reaction. There is a battle every man must fight, a battle not against flesh and blood, but against the internal enemies of fear, anger, doubt, and despair. Those who lose this battle become slaves to their environment, tossed like leaves by every passing wind. They live reactive lives, their moods dictated by headlines, their peace shattered by rumors, their plans uprooted by every shifting breeze. But those who win the battle within possess an authority that no external force can shake. They do not deny the storm, they rise above it. Understand this. You are not at the mercy of what happens around you. You are not a puppet whose strings are pulled by chance, fate, or the fickle moods of the crowd. You are a sovereign soul, endowed by your Creator with the ability to think, choose, and act independently of circumstance. When you master yourself, you master the conditions of your life. Events will come. Losses may strike. Betrayals may wound. Plans may crumble. But none of these things can govern you unless you permit them. The man who has built his spirit on the rock of self-control will weather every storm. His strength is invisible but invincible. His calmness is not passivity but power, a living proof that he is greater than his environment, greater than his hardships, greater than the fleeting emotions that would seek to enslave him. To refuse to be governed by external events is not to be indifferent, it is to be disciplined. It is to recognize that emotions are messengers, not masters. Feel them, acknowledge them, but do not obey them. Let the winds blow, let the tides rise, let the voices of doubt scream from every direction. You remain focused. You remain deliberate. You respond only to the higher voice within you, the voice that speaks of purpose, principle, and destiny. There is a reason the wise have always valued calmness. Calmness is clarity. Calmness is strength under control. Calmness is vision unclouded by panic. In the midst of the storm, while others react wildly, the calm man sees clearly. He thinks creatively, he acts decisively, and because of this, he often achieves victories that the frantic never could. Success favors the man who is calm, because calmness produces endurance, and endurance wins the race that impulse loses. The world tests every great soul, not by ease, but by trial. Every hero you admire, every giant whose story has survived the centuries, was at some point surrounded by circumstances that would have broken the average spirit. But they endured. They conquered, not because the storms did not come, but because they refused to let the storms command their hearts. When you choose self-mastery, you choose to live by internal direction rather than external distraction. You choose to cultivate a stillness so deep, so steady, that even the earthquakes of life cannot shake it. You become like the mountain unmoved by the winds, the lighthouse standing tall amidst the crashing waves. This is not given by birth. It is achieved by choice. It is not reserved for a few. It is available to anyone who dares to train his mind, to discipline his emotions, to set his soul upon a higher goal than mere comfort. Remember, you cannot always predict what will happen to you, but you can always choose how you respond. And in that response lies your power. In that response, you either surrender your life to circumstances or you seize the reins of your own destiny. Train yourself, therefore, to pause before you react. Train yourself to breathe deeply when others panic. Train yourself to seek wisdom when others seek escape. Every small moment of mastery builds a larger life of greatness. It is not achieved in a single day, but is built day by day, choice by choice, reaction by reaction. You were not born to be a slave to circumstance. You were born to be a master of self. And when you achieve mastery over yourself, the storms of life no longer terrify you. You welcome them as the necessary winds that strengthen your roots, sharpen your vision, and prove the greatness that was hidden inside you all along. Be calm, be deliberate, be immovable, for true strength is not loud, not brash, not violent. True strength is the quiet, unshakable calm in the heart of the fiercest storm. Victory belongs to those who move forward with quiet certainty, even when the path seems impossible. It is not the loud, boastful declarations that shape the destiny of a man, but the steady, unwavering steps he takes when no applause is heard and no guarantee of success is in sight. The greatest accomplishments are not born out of ease or certainty. They are forged in the unseen moments when faith stands against the tide of doubt. The man who persists with quiet certainty claims a kind of victory the world cannot comprehend, a victory that is first won within, long before it is seen without. Every great achievement began as an invisible seed planted in the soil of belief. Before the crowds gathered, before the doors opened, before history recorded their names, the victors walked paths shrouded in uncertainty. They moved forward not because the road was clear, but because their conviction was stronger than the obstacles before them. They understood that quiet certainty is not ignorance of difficulty. It is the deliberate choice to believe in the outcome despite the evidence of the present moment. Many start a journey with enthusiasm. Few finish it with faith, for along the road, the path narrows. It becomes rough. Critics arise. Circumstances betray promises once held dear. And here is the secret. It is not the strongest nor the most talented who reach the summit. It is those who, having set their heart on the prize, refuse to be moved by the shifting winds of hardship. They walk with a quiet certainty that whispers, "Though the night is dark, the dawn is sure." The world around you may call you foolish. It may mock your persistence, question your dreams, and predict your downfall. But remember this: the opinions of the doubters have never built a single monument to greatness. Their laughter has never lifted a man to glory. Only the steady steps of the determined carve paths through the mountains of impossibility. Only the silent, relentless advance of the faithful brings impossible dreams into reality. Quiet certainty is a weapon against the onslaught of fear. It does not shout back at fear, it walks past it. It does not argue with doubt, it leaves it behind. It does not seek to prove itself with empty words. It proves itself by refusing to quit. There is a dignity, a sacredness in moving forward without the need for validation. When you move forward with quiet certainty, you declare by your actions that you serve a vision higher than the temporary pains of today. No obligations to understand the absolute perpetuality. Do not be deceived by the illusion that paths of greatness are marked by continuous affirmation and applause. They are often marked by solitude, by hardship, by unseen battles that forge the spirit into something the world cannot break. To walk forward with quiet certainty is to walk often alone, misunderstood, underestimated. But this solitude is not punishment, it is preparation. It burns away the need for external approval and strengthens the inner resolve necessary for true leadership. You must decide now that you will not require permission to pursue your calling. You must determine that no setback, no delay, no betrayal will shake your resolve. When you choose quiet certainty, you stop being tossed about by emotions and circumstances. You become like a river that flows steadily forward, bending where necessary, but never ceasing its advance toward the sea. Obstacles may rise, rocks may block the way, but the river moves around, over, or through. And so must you. Greatness demands a stubborn spirit, a heart that refuses to betray its own destiny even when the road turns cruel. Quiet certainty is not born of ignorance to reality. It is born of a higher allegiance to purpose. The truth is simple. Most quit too soon. Most stop walking when the summit is only a few steps away. Most give up when they are one act of faith from breakthrough. But not you. You are called to more. You are not among those who turn back. You are among the few who understand that victory was never about ease, but about endurance. You are among the rare souls who keep moving forward, quietly, steadily, through storm, through night, through every discouragement, because you know that on the other side of the impossible path lies the unimaginable reward. So move forward, even when the evidence of success is invisible. Move forward, even when every voice around you says to turn back. Move forward with a quiet certainty that your steps are not in vain, that the God who placed the vision in your heart has already made the way, even if your eyes cannot yet see it. Victory is not granted to the loud or the lucky. It is seized by the quietly courageous, the unseen warriors who dared to keep walking when reason said stop, when fear said hide, when comfort said quit. It belongs to those who believed when believing made no sense, who moved forward not because they knew the outcome, but because they knew their calling. You, who walk forward today with nothing but faith as your companion, are closer than you think. Every step of quiet certainty is a brick laid in the bridge to your dreams. Walk on. The impossible is only impossible until the day you cross it and prove it was never real at all. Victory belongs to those who move forward with quiet certainty, even when the path seems impossible. It is not the noise of ambition that secures triumph, but the silent, stubborn advance of the soul that refuses to surrender. Many dream, many talk, many hope, but few move forward with the kind of steadfast belief that does not demand immediate evidence. Few continue to climb when the mountain disappears into the mist. Few press onward when each step seems more uncertain than the last. Yet it is exactly those few who write the history of success across the pages of time. The world teaches us to value noise, to celebrate the loud, the dramatic, the bold declarations of intention. But the laws of success are different. True advancement is quiet, almost invisible to the common eye. It happens in small, disciplined steps, in the private victories that are won long before any public applause. Quiet certainty is the rare power of those who do not need the assurance of others to continue. They are fueled not by praise, but by purpose, not by validation, but by vision. When the path looks impossible, most people hesitate. They stop to question, they delay to doubt. But those who have built quiet certainty within their spirit do not look outward for permission to proceed. They do not measure the height of the mountain to decide if they should climb it. They measure the depth of their commitment and move accordingly. They trust something deeper than sight, something stronger than circumstance, something greater than fear. They trust the invisible laws of perseverance that have never failed those who dared to honor them. The appearance of impossibility is often an illusion designed to test the seriousness of your intention. Life does not surrender its greatest rewards to the curious, the half-hearted, or the easily discouraged. It opens its treasures only to those who prove by quiet, continuous action that they are worthy. This is why quiet certainty is so powerful. It is a daily vote cast in favor of your dream, a daily declaration that you will not bow to appearances, that you will not surrender to fear. Victory belongs to the one who moves forward when nothing around them offers encouragement. It belongs to the one who persists through confusion, through fatigue, through loneliness. It belongs to the one who chooses discipline over drama, commitment over convenience, purpose over popularity. Such a soul does not announce his every step, does not advertise his every effort. He works in silence, understanding that results are louder than any words could ever be. There will be days when the weight of uncertainty feels unbearable, when quitting seems more logical than continuing. There will be moments when the noise of failure and the silence of progress create a deafening void, but quiet certainty carries you through those moments. It whispers to you that your efforts are not wasted, that your climb is not in vain, that the summit is nearer than you can yet see. It reminds you that every hero was once just a man or woman who refused to stop walking. Your quiet certainty must be built daily. It must be fed with affirmations of truth, strengthened by the memory of past victories, and guarded against the infiltration of doubt. It is a precious flame that must be tended when the winds of life blow harsh and cold. The temptation to speak fear, to confess defeat, will arise, but you must refuse to give your voice to anything that contradicts your mission. Speak only what strengthens your soul. Act only in ways that honor your commitment. The truly successful are those who learn to dance with difficulty, to make friends with resistance, to welcome the impossible as a catalyst for growth. They know that the darker the night, the brighter the dawn. They understand that the moment of greatest opposition often comes just before the breakthrough. They trust the process, even when the process is painful, because they have chosen to anchor their identity, not in temporary circumstances, but in timeless principles. Quiet certainty does not mean the absence of fear. It means the refusal to be ruled by it. It means standing still when the storm demands you run. It means moving forward when the mountain dares you to turn back. It means speaking life when your emotions whisper death. It is the invisible armor worn by those who know that destiny bows only to the determined. If you would taste true victory, you must cultivate this quiet certainty. You must be willing to walk roads that seem deserted. You must be willing to fight battles that no one sees. You must be willing to plant seeds that take time to grow. For it is in these hidden places, these unseen hours, that your triumph is being born. And when the day comes, as surely it will, that the fruits of your labor stand undeniable before the world, when the impossible yields to your quiet, relentless march, you will know that victory was never about circumstances or luck. It was about the simple, sacred act of moving forward when everything else screamed to stop. Victory belongs to you because you dared to believe when it made no sense. It belongs to you because you walked by faith, not by sight. It belongs to you because you understood that quiet certainty is stronger than any obstacle, deeper than any fear, and more powerful than any impossibility. Walk on. Circumstances lose their power over the man who refuses to let emotions dictate his course. It is not the situation itself that determines the outcome of a man's life, but the way he chooses to respond to it. Storms may rage, losses may come, betrayals may sting. Every man faces challenges. Every man is at times confronted with injustice, with unexpected obstacles, with seasons of confusion. But the majority are swept away because they react instead of respond. They are prisoners of their own feelings, allowing anger, fear, and discouragement to pull them from the course they once set, with clear eyes and a courageous heart. They drift like ships without anchors, blaming the storm when it is their lack of mastery that is truly at fault. The man who wins is not the man who is spared from hardship. He is the man who refuses to let hardship define him. He has understood the eternal law. Feelings are real, but not final. Emotions are powerful, but not sovereign. They may knock at the door, but he does not invite them in to govern his house. He feels, but he does not yield. He acknowledges the storm, but sets his compass by the stars, not by the waves. Circumstances can only break the man who has already surrendered internally. The man who holds his ground within himself, who refuses to panic, to rage, to fall into despair, remains untouchable, even as the world trembles around him. His spirit shines as a light that neither darkness nor disaster can overcome, for he has realized that the outer world is often only a mirror of the inner one. Master the inner world, and the outer circumstances must eventually bow to your commands. This is not to suggest that the disciplined man does not feel the sting of loss or the pangs of fear. No, he feels them perhaps even more deeply than others, for he is sensitive to the movements of life. But he does not let those feelings write his future. He does not abdicate the throne of his own mind to the wild emotions of a passing moment. He feels, but he chooses. He weeps, but he moves forward. He hurts, but he continues the work. The man who refuses to be ruled by emotion becomes the architect of his own destiny. He no longer blames fate, no longer curses the winds, no longer shrinks back when the nights grow cold. He understands that circumstances are merely materials placed before him, and it is his task to shape them into stepping stones, not stumbling blocks. Adversity becomes his forge, not his prison. Hardship becomes his teacher, not his executioner. Such a man is rare. For most seek the easy road, the path where feelings are indulged and excuses are plenty. But the man who would be great seeks the hard road, the narrow way, the path that demands mastery over self before mastery over others. He knows that he cannot lead if he cannot first command himself. He knows that he cannot build an empire if he cannot first rule his own heart. Victory is not the absence of emotion, but the mastery of it. Courage is not the absence of fear, but the decision to walk forward despite it. Discipline is not the absence of desire, but the choice to act in accordance with purpose, not pleasure. The man who lives this way becomes a force in the world. He is unshakable in crisis, calm under pressure, steadfast in pursuit of his vision. He does not need to boast. His results speak for him. He does not need to demand respect. His life earns it. Circumstances, no matter how fierce, lose their teeth when faced with such a spirit. Life itself yields to the man who does not yield to fear, who does not crumble under rejection, who does not lose his way in moments of despair. Such a man will find that mountains move for him, not because he is lucky, but because he refused to be ruled by what was temporary. His allegiance is to what is eternal: principle, purpose, truth. The secret is this: you cannot always control what happens to you, but you can always control what happens in you. You are the master of your reactions, the governor of your emotions, the captain of your soul. Others may rage, may surrender, may run. You will stand. Others may curse the darkness. You will become the light. Others may cry for rescue. You will build a path through the storm with your own hands. The man who rules himself rules his world. His future bends to his will because he has bent his heart to discipline. His destiny opens to him because he has closed the door to panic and despair. The circumstances that would destroy a lesser man become mere stepping stones for him. Stand in the fire without losing your soul. Walk through the storm without surrendering your song. Face the uncertainty without abandoning your purpose. And you will find that victory was never about being spared from difficulty. It was always about mastering yourself in the midst of it. You are not the puppet of fate, but the architect of your destiny, drawing it daily with your thoughts and actions. There are forces in the world that will try to tell you otherwise. They will whisper that life is random, that your future is already written by circumstances outside your control, that no matter what you do, you are at the mercy of the unseen tides. But listen carefully. This is the anthem of the defeated. It is the song of those who have surrendered the power within them to forces they were always meant to master. Every thought you think is a stroke of the pen writing your life story. Every action you take lays a brick in the mansion or the ruin that will become your future. There are no neutral thoughts, no meaningless actions. Each one contributes either to the building of a grand destiny or to the slow decay into mediocrity. You are the builder, the painter, the author, and the materials you use are your choices, your beliefs, and your relentless pursuit of your vision. The man who understands this truth ceases to blame. He does not curse his upbringing, his environment, or his hardships. He sees them as the raw materials out of which he must construct his tower. If he was born with little, he uses that hunger to drive him. If he was wounded early, he uses the pain to forge strength. If he was betrayed, he lets it sharpen his discernment. Nothing is wasted for the man who knows he is building his destiny by conscious design. Fate has no hold on the man who takes ownership. Chance may deal a harsh hand, but it cannot dictate his response. External forces may create temporary storms, but they cannot determine the final harbor. Every setback becomes a setup for a greater rise. Every closed door becomes a redirection to a better path. Every disappointment becomes a deeper well of wisdom. Why? Because he chooses to see it that way. Because he decides not to be a puppet hanging from the strings of circumstance, but a master builder, using every tool, pleasant or painful, to carve his future. Thoughts are seeds, actions are the water, and destiny is the harvest. Think fear, plant hesitation, water it with inaction, and you will reap regret. But think vision, plant courage, water it with daily discipline, and you will reap greatness beyond what you once dared imagine. It is the immutable law of life, and it bows to no man but rewards all who honor it. The tragedy is that many live their lives as if someone else is holding the brush, painting their futures in dull gray. They hand over the canvas of their lives to the opinions of others, the expectations of society, the wounds of the past. They believe the lie that they are powerless. They drift, react, and survive, never realizing that the masterpiece of their life waits for their own hand to begin shaping it. They forget that they were made creators, not creatures of chance. But for the man who awakens, who rises each morning with the sacred knowledge that today's thoughts shape tomorrow's realities, every hour becomes an opportunity. He no longer asks, what will happen to me? He demands, what will I make happen? He no longer wonders what the future will bring. He decides what he will bring into the future. His mind becomes a workshop of dreams turned into plans, and his hands become instruments of purpose turned into achievement. Doubt may visit, but it does not stay. Fear may knock, but it is turned away. Failure may occur, but it is treated as a teacher, not a master. This man does not wait for permission to live greatly. He grants it to himself. He does not beg fate to be kind. He makes his fate by the tenacity of his belief and the ferocity of his actions. The power has always been within you. It does not lie in favorable conditions or lucky breaks. It lies in the unwavering determination to think rightly, to act boldly, and to persist relentlessly. Your destiny bends to your choices because your soul was never created to be at the mercy of anything outside of itself. It was made to rule, to create, to shape the invisible into the visible. You are the architect. Your thoughts are your blueprints. Your actions are your hammers and nails. Your habits are the scaffolding that supports the construction. Every day, brick by brick, you are either building a palace of purpose or a prison of regret. Every day, whether you acknowledge it or not, you are drawing your destiny with lines of thought and strokes of action. There is no neutral ground. You are either building or destroying, either creating a life by design or default, either lifting yourself higher or allowing yourself to be dragged lower by forces you were meant to overcome. Victory belongs not to those who are lucky, but to those who are deliberate. Stand tall today. Choose your thoughts carefully. Direct your actions wisely. Treat your every moment as sacred, for you are not a puppet tossed by the winds of fortune. You are the master, the builder, the living proof that destiny is not found. It is created. Each dignified step taken in the face of fear kills the old self and gives birth to a triumphant, unstoppable spirit. Fear, like a shadow, seeks to loom over your life, casting doubt and uncertainty at every turn. It whispers that you cannot, that you are not enough, that the challenges ahead are too great. Yet every time you choose to act in spite of fear, you break the chains that once held you back. You move one step closer to the person you were always meant to be. The old self is defined by hesitation, by comfort, by the easy choice to retreat. It seeks the path of least resistance, avoiding the unknown and the uncomfortable. But with every dignified step in the face of fear, you transcend the limitations of that old self. With each courageous action, you birth a new spirit, one that is unstoppable. This spirit does not fear failure because it knows that failure is but a lesson, a necessary step toward mastery. This spirit does not shrink from challenge because it recognizes challenge as the gateway to growth. It is triumphant, for it is built on the unshakable foundation of faith, determination, and relentless pursuit of purpose. Fear will always be there, lurking in the shadows, but it is powerless against the unstoppable spirit that rises within you. Every step taken in defiance of fear is a victory, and each victory strengthens you for the next battle. You are not defined by the moments you fear, but by the courage you find in those moments. And with each courageous step, you are transformed into someone who can no longer be stopped, someone who is destined for greatness. So take that step today. Confront your fears, not as a coward, but as a warrior. Know that with every step you take, you are killing the old self. the self that once cowered in fear, and giving birth to the triumphant, unstoppable spirit that will